Samir Arora is somebody who tracks politics pretty closely, political outcomes very closely, and of course is an investor, is with Helios Capital. Samir, great to have you with us here. Good morning. Thanks for your time. Samir, as we get into the last phase of polling, exit polls later today, final results on the 16th this Friday, what are your thoughts on this entire thing? The political outcome and, of course, how the markets are reacting to that potential outcome?
Well, I think that the markets have, left it too late to rally, because I was bullish for the last many months on sort of the same outcomes that the market started discounting on from Friday, which is that most probably BJP, led by Mr. Modi, will form the government. And the numbers, although they are material, they are not material unless they are below, say, 230, 240 for NDA. Anything above 235, 240, whatever, 240, something like that, for NDA would be viewed as a more or less an outright victory. And this whole story that, how will they negotiate for the last 30 seats, I don't think they'll have to do anything. So anything above 240, I think, is extremely bullish for sort of a stable BJP, NDA, Modi-led government. And I think if that were to happen, there has been no rally yet for that. It's been a rally which is somewhat in line with the world, maybe 5% ahead of the world, but nothing that would, that sort of has already discounted these kind of numbers. It may not go up 10% on Friday, it may go up 2% on Friday, or may not go up because it goes up after the exit polls tonight, before that. But broadly, I would view that as rally not having even started, if this were to happen.
Samir, just run us through the numbers once again. You said sub 220 or so. You'd have worries. 240 plus would be great news.
First thing is that it should be clear to the market tonight only, that means tomorrow morning, as far as the opening of the market is concerned, that Mr. Modi is going to be the PM. Now, if that is to come about, and I think that would be true even at, say, a 220 number for NDA, but it may sound that, more negotiation will be required, and which lady will join the coalition, and people don't like ladies in this respect these days. So the thing will become that, okay, the market may even fall 2, 3, 4%, but I feel that would be a recoverable number. That means if it falls after some time, it will go up, because at the end of the day, if Mr. Modi is the PM and you've given away 1 or 2 ministries, beyond a point, I don't think anybody cares. But if the number is 240, 250, which means that you don't have to negotiate with anybody, somehow the market participants feel that is better. It is definitely better, but I don't know how much better if you gave away 1 ministry to some partner that you wanted. But broadly speaking, from a market expectation point of view, I would think that 240, 250 is a very good outcome, and anything above that is pure gravy. And my bias is that it will be higher, because the new voters and the higher turnout, I think, although in a sense everybody understands it, but they are not willing to build it into numbers. It's very similar to when we have consensus estimates, that the new guy putting an estimate does not go very far from that consensus. So they will add 5% or reduce 5%, but they don't go very far. So I think it will be higher than that, but there is no need to be excited about that today, as I said, because even a 240 would achieve me the same thing as a 260. Or at least what I have to do in response to that is more or less the same. That means to be bullish and to be invested. Now, whether you make 5%, you make 10%, that doesn't matter. Even 5 is good, 4 is good, 3 is good. Losing is not good. And that would need a very different environment, which today we don't believe can happen so easily.
Right. No, so 220 will still mean Mr. Modi will be PM, although the market in the near term can be a little disappointed. Some correction can happen. 240 and above, you think the market will rally on, Samir, right? Just to get past that.
Precisely. What I mean is that if it's clear that Mr. Modi is going to be the PM, even if it needs a little bit of negotiation with some partner that we otherwise may not like as market, the market may fall, but that fall won't be such that I have to rethink my whole view on India, or foreign investors have to do it. So it'll be okay, it'll fall 3-5%, and then over time it can recover. Only in a situation where there is no Mr. Modi or no NDA government will it be a scary scenario, only because the alternative is not another government which is in control, but sort of a coalition of third front supported by Congress. All that will be a mishmash. That is why the only thing to worry for an investor is when does he lose, not how much he makes if things go right. It doesn't matter if you make 3 or you make 5, but mostly you will do all right, because then other factors will come into play in terms of the fact that, markets do go up even without elections, and that the economy is recovering, and that there will be some stronger action, and maybe someday inflation will fall and someday interest rates will fall. All that will be a normal market after, maybe 19th or 20th of May. So that also not a bad market to be in if this macro thing is taken out smoothly.
Yeah. The NDA said, well, Mr. Modi is the only prime ministerial candidate, right? But we'll know, of course, for sure after the elections. For the market, what is critical? You mentioned this briefly. Is Mr. Modi... No, for the market, is Mr. Modi as PM more important? Or, the NDA comes to power with whoever at the top?
I think it'll be a complete confusion if it is a non-Modi expectations of that. I don't think market, or forget about market, you think voters will accept, you think Mr. Modi will accept, you think anybody in the country will accept that you go and do 400 rallies and somebody else becomes the PM. It's not acceptable. Forget about the stock market for 1 minute. I don't think the country will accept it. Then you have to sit in the opposition. There's no choice. You can't just come in and say, because one lady from some country, some state wants to have BJP without Mr. Modi, everybody has to agree with her because she has 15, 20 seats. How can that be acceptable? I don't think the country can accept it. So market also will not accept it.
Right. No, so are you ruling that out? Or are you...
That means that it's like a third front. More or not, maybe a little better, but it is as if everything has failed. That means the whole trade has failed, the campaigning has failed, basically BJP has failed then. And so that is viewed as a bad outcome, I would think. Maybe not as bad as, some absolute 20-seat guy standing and becoming PM, but it would be a bad outcome. I think because it creates so much uncertainty in India, it creates so much anger. That you can't have like that. Nobody has voted for BJP. They've all voted for Modi, I assume.
Right. That's fine.
I'm ruling it out. I'm a risk taker. I'm not one of these guys who comes on TV and says, wait for election outcome, then wait for cabinet, then why not wait for budget, then wait for whether budget is implemented. Now that you're already in October, why don't wait for Christmas sales? And once Christmas sales are over, might as well wait for the actual budget in Feb 2015 and then take a view. I'm not in those kind of that kind of investor. I take my odds and I play on odds.
No, that's fine. That's fine. And you've been bullish for many months, so you sort of started with that. And we know that. But you're not even ready to accept that will happen, right? Because I'm just saying, we're speculating here, but it's a real possibility that that might be the case, that there are allies who aren't comfortable with Mr. Modi. You're saying if that is the case, then BJP will, even with the numbers, strong numbers but not strong enough, will and should decide to sit in the opposition. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely. I don't think whether they will decide or not. I don't think the country will accept this, sir. You have not voted. And you forget about politics. The point is, I will consider that as a bad outcome. That means I may lose.
Samir, what do you mean country will not accept? Country is voted and the election outcome will be the outcome. What do you mean country will not accept?
If it was like that, then why do we ever say that there is an unstable coalition? If the media, the public, everybody puts pressure day after day, governments don't last even though people have voted for them. Why do we say that a third front with 20-seat guy becoming PM, suppose some party guy becomes, why do we call it unstable? Why do we call it that... because the pressure every day from every constituent of the public doesn't accept it, so these things fall. Otherwise, you can say that once a government has been chosen, they can all do wheeling, dealing internally and it should not matter. It matters. So it will be considered as an unstable situation. That's what I mean. Country not accepting means it won't be... The public will not have its heart behind it. The business will not have its heart behind it. There will be too much infighting, too much too much shifting of blame, too much frustration, anger, upsetting. So that's what I mean. This doesn't mean that just because you voted once, no, for 5 years. So that's what I think. But I'm saying in a 100% scenario, obviously that has a scenario, but that would be viewed not as a good scenario, but as a bad, but maybe not as bad as some other scenario, but still a bad scenario. In my mind, no, that's my wish. I'm going to think like that.
Right. Got that. Samir, when we started the election season, not one but a few people told me that large institutional investors this time around have commissioned their own polls, opinion polls, I don't know, exit polls. Can you confirm that for us without taking names? If that is the case, or are people just going with, the regular opinion and exit polls, etc., which have been put out?
I don't think anybody has commissioned actual polls. I don't think anybody does. But for example, even I went on a 3-day tour of UP. So many brokers and many fund managers have gone on different tours of UP. Somebody may have gone, Gujarat to see what is happening. So now in 3 days you go and meet some 20 guys and a few politicians. But that's not a poll. Poll would mean that you are actually covering the country and having your people outside. I don't think anybody's done that, or I have not heard. And I don't think people are even clear whether that is allowed to be done, not allowed. I don't think anybody is commissioned like that. But people have obviously gone on different trips. I've gone on 2-3 trips. Once I went in January with one broker where we met many of the politicians and journalists and all. And then we did one last week where we went to Varanasi and Lucknow. That is just to see the action there and the fun and the party and the carnival. But it's not a poll that anybody is doing, because that's too cumbersome and too complicated. I don't think anybody can do it also so easily.
You said that the good scenario for the NDA will be if it doesn't need the 3 ladies, right? Mayawati, Mamta and Jayalalitha. That will be good news if the NDA doesn't require their support, and that means that they don't really need to go out and seek support from these entities. What's your sense? Because recently you had Mr. Modi in a television interview saying that he's actually open to taking support from people like Mamta Banerjee and others. How do you read that? Or you don't read too much into that? Is that an admission that... Yeah. No, I'm just saying that is that an admission that he's feeling he may need the support of these people, and hence let's keep the lines of communication open? Or, it's just said for the sake of it, nothing more?
Please tell me, if you ask a question that what will you do, what should he say? Get lost. He has to say, of course, if I need and I would like everybody to work along. It's absolutely fine. It doesn't mean anything. But before that, if you look at why the expectations of the market have got even a little higher, is only and solely because of the NDTV poll, which was that opinion poll, whatever, which came 275. But before that, nearly any poll had only 230, 240 for NDA. And this rally, when it started, if you say it started, which I don't think there's been a rally yet in India, but from January when this rally started, there was no number for NDA above 230, 240. It was you guys' number, which now people think, 240 is less. Actually, 240 was the number at which the rally was starting. Actually, when the 275 number came, the market since then, I think, is down, or maybe zero. Maybe yesterday, now it's become flat or a little bit up. But broadly speaking, 230, 240 for NDA was considered a good number on which people were willing to be optimistic, till you guys raised the consensus number by taking it to 275. But in terms of who's this thing you need, it's very simple logic that if you have to come down to the third lady, whoever the third be in their preference, that means you don't have 240. So that's the same thing. That means you are saying I have 200. Now at 200 you may get the third lady, so you may be upset because of that, or you may be upset because that means the BJP campaign did not work and that every poll was wrong. So therefore it would be negative in the short term, unless Mr. Modi is not at all PM, that would be short term, maybe negative for another 6, 9, 12 months extra. But these are all connected. So now the market wants this campaign to have succeeded, because that is on what basis on which for the last 4-5 months people have been optimistic. Although, as I say, relative to the world, it has not been a rally of any proportion. It has, of course, maybe ahead by 5% on a year-to-date basis, but it is not something which somebody can say that this is a a BJP or a Modi trade. Actually, Citibank put out a report saying that the market so far has gone up as an EM trade, not as an India trade. And I agree with that, just because the relative difference between these markets is not high. For the last 1 month, including Friday's rally, India has underperformed nearly every market in the world, whether it's US, developed markets, Europe, Singapore, Philippines. All of them had done better than India till Friday. Now today, okay, I had 1%. I don't know what the other markets have done. But nothing has happened yet if things work out. And obviously, it will fall a lot if things don't work out. That's why this is quite a serious event this time.
Samir, do you think market will react to the exit poll results? What's your sense?
I think they will, because right now the thing is that at least, if you see the last 2-3 polls, including this India Today technically only for Varanasi, and your NDTV poll which happened from Allahabad or wherever, where I actually came across these guys, your guys. These polls show such high vote share, not seat share. Vote share are so high compared to history that if those kind of numbers come in an exit poll, then it will not matter to the market whether you've converted the voter share to seat share exactly or not. If those numbers are so high, that is 38-40% for BJP. If the numbers, in the reason why previously the polls got it wrong, because the vote share used to be quite close. Now, in theory, based on the last 2-3 numbers that have been reported, if the vote share is higher by 10-15%, how does it matter precisely whether you got the conversion to seats right or not? Because it will look a big difference. Therefore, I think that tomorrow is a bit crucial, or tonight or whatever. If the vote share looks to be high, it will get discounted tomorrow, quite a bit of it. Maybe not everything, but So it is important this time, I think.
Samir, on earlier occasion when we have chatted, you have sort of lamented the non-participation by retail investors. People who are watching this now, Samir, what would you say to them? And I'm talking about the retail investors.
They should see Indian songs. New songs are coming every day in every movie. They are not interested in their market, so the foreigners will drive it and enjoy the gains. Because, the thing is, wherever I meet anybody in a party in India or in Singapore, everybody says, but I know that this is happening, I know this is the outcome, and I say, but what have you done about it? Some of them will say, but I already have an SIP plan, then or something like that. But what have you done additional for the fact that there might be this change of government, which everybody agrees may be good in the current situation, but they have done nothing about it. I have stopped caring, basically, in short, for them. I have done a lot in terms of investing in India this time, but I think the Indian public will come only on 19th of May or 20th of May, when others might be trimming because it's up 15%. Who knows? The point is, they want to do a 0-1 trade, and 0-1 trades don't work, which means all or none. I've been saying to everybody that if you have 100 rupees and you put 5% in the market, it is not even clear that you should get a market rally. Maybe the better thing is not to get a market rally, but a stable market, and then you put more, and over time you have 30% invested, and then a rally happens. But these guys want to put 5 out of their 100 or 2 out of their 100, but on that 2 they suddenly want to have a 20% gain, not realizing that it may be better off to have a stable market. And then you put 2 every year or every month, depending on how you're counting it. And then when you have a meaningful amount, the rally should happen. But they want instant gratification on the 1% that they put in. And I tweeted on this that many people say that, I put money in the market and I doubled. And then somebody asked, but how much of your money did you have in the market? And he had 5%. So actually his 100 became 105, not 5 became 10. That's how they should look at it. But they want to do a marginal trade, so I have got tired.
You're a professional, so come on. You can't.
I'm not catering to them. I'm not a mutual fund manager. So I thought that I've done enough social work. It's not that they're going to buy my fund. The local mutual fund guys have to go out and market, and they don't. Because they don't want to take stance in life. They want to say we are watching the market and we are monitoring the market, and so what can we say? I'm not catering to them. But my point is that the Indian public does not realize that they cannot distance themselves from this market beyond a point. Indian market is not some independent thing that 20 people are doing. It reflects the jobs, it reflects economy, it reflects inflation, it reflects interest rates, it reflects growth. So if somebody thinks that they are having a good time and they don't care about the market, in a sense, it's like saying we don't care about the government, we don't care about the economy, we don't care about inflation, we don't care about whether our kids will get jobs or not. These are all the same thing. So if you're optimistic about any of your personal future, you should be a participant or at least follow this market. But people think they're living on an island, which they are not.
Samir, I'll ask you this. What would, if the polls were to be, the actual outcome were to be stronger than what you said market is sort of expecting now? What would you do? What would you buy more? Or are you fully invested? Let's assume even if you're fully invested, let's assume that you have additional capital to invest. What would you bet on from here, Samir?
See, the thing is, I am assuming that, there have been two issues in this, not two sides in this market. One is the sort of the stocks that did well in the last 3-4 years, which is tech, pharma, consumer, etc., which have obviously underperformed this year, and because some of them are FX plays and all. And the other side, which has gone up on hope and optimism and the fact that they were beaten up. So what has gone up is basically beaten up beta. And it's very difficult for a new guy to decide where to go, because one side is moving a lot on hope and one side, which was doing well, is stalling. Therefore, what you will buy depends on what you own already. So for us, we have actually bought more of the beaten up because we had more, obviously, all the institutional guys in the last 3 years had more tech and more pharma and more consumer. So they are buying some economically sensitive, some private bank or state-owned bank or NBFC. So for a new person who maybe have zero or very little, please go and buy somebody's fund. It doesn't matter whether it underperforms the index by 0.5% or 1%. Go and buy an index fund if you want. Because the point is, it will be difficult upfront for new money to decide whether to go this side or that side. Because one side looks as if it's rallied a lot on hopes and expectations without real changes, and the other side currently is not performing for the last 2, 3, 4 months. So it depends on what you have. So for us, the trade has been of covering the shorts on the economically sensitive and buying some of them on the basis that, the bottoming out has happened and new government will bring new excitement. The big picture is that whenever a new management comes in, investors give that management time. So look at the country as a company. Look at what has happened to Infosys. With every negative news, the stock has not really fallen because people say, no, new management. I think the same should be viewed at the country level. Everybody will give the new government 6-9 months, and therefore negative news will not be as important as positive news will be rewarded.
Right. Okay. Now, I have 3 specific areas. One is PSU banks, one is road construction companies, and power utilities. Right. PSU banks have come up a lot. A few construction contractors, etc., have done well. Utilities, not so much. So can these 3 be held up as, a bunch of stocks which can do very well? These are the classic beaten down, very sensitive to change in policy, change in sentiment. Would these make that cut, Samir?
Well, we have bought some combination of these, but we haven't bought utilities. But other 2 we have bought. Actually, we bought one through the bank Nifty because you get part of the state-owned banks as a mix instead of buying a private. And we bought construction company, road, you call it, I don't know, road, some of it is road, but not, yeah. We bought that group, the second group. And first one is indirectly through the deliberately buying bank Nifty instead of buying private banks, which we normally like.
That CPSE ETF which came out, is that a good way to, because I don't know why, but many are saying, well, PSUs generally speaking can do very well.
They can, but the reason why I didn't like that fund was because it has very high oil and gas. And I feel that oil and gas is the most difficult one, and I'm not even sure how these guys will they really reform it so fast. After 1 year they may do. So I don't own any oil and gas company, and in that index, oil and gas was very high, I think 50-60%. In that, not index, in that ETF or whatever. So I didn't buy that, and I sort of looked at it negatively because of the high weightage of... Plus, please remember, generally I don't like PSUs. So for me, even to sort of surreptitiously buy PSUs via deliberately buying the bank nifty rather than as actual stock is aggressive enough.
Got that. Samir, thanks very much for your time. Appreciate you staying on with us for this time period. Thank you. Samir Arora at Helios Capital with his thoughts on the election outcome and, of course, the potential market reaction that is coming in this morning.